online viewers, persons who will be joining us, and persons who are not here, of course, we will be posting the presentation online so that persons can benefit as well. So let's begin with let's begin with the discussion on the relationship between forgiveness and affirmation. First, I'd like for everyone to introduce themselves. Say something about yourself that our audience so our audience can know you. We have 3 guests. I am not a guest to you. We have 3 guests. We have 1 young lady, and we have 2 noble men, 2 gentlemen, and we are happy that they took time out to come with us, to be with us this afternoon, and to discuss this amazing subject. So I will first ask the young lady to introduce herself, and then I will go to the gentleman in blue with the blue shirt, and then the one with the yellow shirt.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Alexa Birch. I'm a 5th-year clinical psychology doctoral candidate, passionate about holistic health, integrating mental health into primary care spaces, um, and just, all things mental health in general. Again, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Hi
accepting the
guys,
invitation.
thank you. Hi guys, my name is Michael Nicholas. I am a licensed therapist, specialized really in substance use, recovery, and trauma. I also am a father. I am a husband. I am also from the Caribbean. That's my accent, if you're wondering. Um, but I enjoy sharing, I enjoy teaching, I enjoy having interesting conversations. So thank you for the invite to come and share with you guys this evening.
My name is Samuel Ekong. I'm glad he didn't say SpongeBob, he said the man in the yellow shirt. I specialize in religion and health. That's my focus. My day job is really programming systems. So I write in a number of programs. And my main focus is how to have us grow, holistically as Christians towards what God has called us to be successfully. How do we define success and how we use that to pattern our lives so that we can thrive rather than struggle through life.
Yes, and so we are happy that you are here with us this afternoon. I wanted to have individuals to discuss the subject matter, and I thought of you because I believe that we'll do a wonderful job in being able to discuss the subject matter. So let's dive in and let's talk a little about forgiveness and affirmation. Quite recently, we had a series on forgiveness and 101 reasons to forgive. And one of the questions that some persons asked me was why the strong emphasis on forgiveness. Does everyone have to have the passion, the capacity to forgive? Why the need to forgive? And can people really forgive? So there was quite a lot of discussion on that. Um, One of the subject matters that I thought of late was affirmation, the relationship between affirmation and forgiveness. If there is a relationship, what is the relationship? And so I'd like for us to have a dive at that and go at it. And let's talk about affirmation and the relationship between affirmation and forgiveness for the next few minutes.
Right. You want us to start with the definition?
Yes, so let's
Yeah.
let's begin with the definition.
When I think of affirmation, I think of it as typically a positive statement, phrase, could be a couple words, of something that you want maybe to believe it's true. Maybe it's something that you're struggling to believe it's true. So it's again an assertion of something that is already true. Objectively, like people can agree that this is something that's true, and they can be said and used for many different things. But it's typically something you're working toward believing.
All right.
All right. I'll like to add to what you said. And an affirmation, as you said, is a deliberate and constructive expression, spoken or written, that acknowledges the worth, the value, goodness, or truth about a person, a situation, or belief. Psychologically, affirmations are positive statements that reinforce self-worth, identity, or desired behaviors. Within the theological realm, affirmations can reflect God's truth over one's life, anchoring human dignity in being created in the image of God. So we say the imago Dei, and redeemed through Christ. In interpersonal relationships, affirmation is the intentional act of recognizing and naming the good in others. It's not flattery, but truth spoken in love that fosters a connection, trust, and healing.
Mhm.
Amen.
Well said. I mean, I think you guys hit the nail definitely on the head there. I just wanted to probably focus on the intentionality part of it, where we can use words and that's we could speak to ourselves, we could give it to others, and that has to be intentional. It's not an assumption. It's not. It's a guessing game whether or not you're affirming me or I affirm myself. It's something that a belief, as one of you guys says, I'm struggling with something and I want to bring back that belief of who I am or what it is, the reality that surrounds whatever solution, relationship or not. So the intentionality of it, I think, gives it weight when it comes to the act or even the words that's being spoken.
So clearly from the definitions we've had, there is, I don't want to say that there's a spiritual side to affirmation, because I believe there is a spiritual side to it as well as there is a psychological benefit to it. The relationship between affirming someone and the person receiving the affirmation, what motivates an affirmation? If someone, for example, if I am not a Christian, if I don't have a spiritual bent, how would an affirmation benefit me? What would an affirmation do for me? Why do I need to be affirmed? Let's look at some of these questions.
I think being a marriage and family therapist, I could stick in that part, mental health part of it. Um, when you look at affirmation, why do I need to affirm myself or affirm my relationship or with my partner? You know, is it because something maybe broken, something probably some form of disconnection, or there is a, a misunderstanding or a belief system that is penetrating the relationship, that is not in the expectation or in the reality of the other or myself, and therefore I need to affirm. I need something to make me bring back to create a shift in my thinking or in my belief system to bring me back into that level of equilibrium or into that level of where I can trust again in relationship, that is. So I'm seeing from that angle, but I'm also seeing the affirmation also in the sense of as a safety, a safe space. You know, we could affirm me because of the disconnection of a relationship. Affirmation could probably improve intimacy. It could bring up the whole process of healing. It could also build resiliency in the relationship. So it's not just words. And that's why I really focus on the intentionality of affirm the intentionality of it. We can't guess. It's not a guessing or a vaps. It just come to mind or pretend. You know, it have to be intentional because what it aims to do, what it aims to do is to rebuild or to reconnect or to restore relationships or even relationship with myself or relationship externally.
I really like that. And I also wanted to add that it's not always that we have to affirm or use affirmation when there is a lack. Um, but also when, when things are good, maybe you have a big goal, whether it's, interpersonally or something that you have for yourself that you're working toward. And it's like a reminder again of like the truth that already exists, of something that you are planning to accomplish. And sometimes just saying it out loud can give you that boost, help to improve that focus on what you're working toward, or just remind yourself that this is not something, this reaching this goal is not something that's non-negotiable for you, but it's something you are going to complete because you are setting your mind to it, and of course putting the effort behind that as well.
In other words, when I affirm myself, when I affirm myself, I create space, I create motivation, I motivate myself to go after those things that I need to, that I wish to have. I create space because I remove the limitations of myself. Mike, in the context of relationships with siblings, with other significant persons, and the affirming breaks down barriers. And I love the expression breaking through barriers. So I have to plug that in there. So affirmation really does that sort of thing. It really breaks down walls. So I really like that contribution. Doc?
As I listened to everyone speak, something popped up, which is to be able to affirm yourself or to affirm somebody, it must be grounded in love.
Mm.
So self-love and the love for that person. Because truly we are wired. I don't, the word escapes me, but we are wired for connection. So when we affirm, we are building that connection. I think neuroscience tells us something about that. We build that. Affirmation removes guilt, shame. It helps us to foster relationships. And for us, it helps us to remove the negativity that surrounds us like every day from things. So when we affirm ourselves, we're saying positive things to ourselves that builds resilience in us. And when we affirm other people, it's another way of telling them and ourselves that we love them and that they matter, that we value them, and that they have an importance in our life.
Is affirmation selfish?
Ooh.
Because I'm listening here, and it's almost like I affirm so that I affirm you because of how it's going to benefit me. Not can I affirm you without thinking of how I'm going to benefit? Can I affirm you? How do I benefit you? How do you benefit from me affirming you without thinking of myself, without thinking of how I will benefit?
I think it must be grounded. Affirmation must be grounded in non-transactional relationship, non-transactional love.
Hmm.
In other words, it must be altruistic. Having the eye to see the good in others and fanning them into flame. So affirmation could be a way of fanning things into flame and saying something to someone, not because it's going to benefit you or benefit me, but calling out the good in others or highlighting the good in others and causing them to take a second look or showing them some parts of themselves that they'd never imagined or focused on. So yes, we can do it without any desire to have it benefit us.
Hmm. That's interesting because I understand, I guess, that concern maybe as it relates to self, not so much as it relates to um someone else. I mean, I can also see that as it relates to someone else, like say any close relationship that you have, like for instance, a partner, um, and you are affirming something within them that they are personally struggling with. Like maybe it's self-identity, self-worth. Maybe you're affirming their capability of being able to do something. And in that, them starting to believe that, to kind of coming to terms with that, stepping into that, adopting that for themselves, the relationship improves because now they are feeling like they're able to put in the effort, or they are, just acting more confident, like their demeanor changes, etc. Like that does benefit you. But I think it would be less likely for someone to automatically think, okay, I'm gonna affirm them or tell them these positive things in order to get something back. I think the ability to affirm someone, especially something maybe that they haven't even necessarily said out loud, maybe something that you've noticed in them that is lacking or is missing or something that they're struggling with. I think again, that's ultimately something that's altruistic. Like you are calling out the good in someone else, often something that they maybe haven't even come to terms with themselves as being a problem or something that needs to be worked on. Yeah, I would say again, I think it's ultimately something that we do out of love for someone else because we want them to get better. Like we want them to have a healthy view of themselves, um, and to be able to walk through life having confidence that they have the capabilities of being able to do things and be this person, etc., fulfill this role. So that was an interesting question.
Yeah. Uh, Bro Mike, I'd like to get some feedback from you on that one. Because oftentimes, for example, oftentimes when we affirm someone, it can be because we don't want the individual to think we don't appreciate them. And so uh, in order for us to establish that facade to provide the likelihood of them understanding we appreciate you as an individual, I appreciate you as an individual, rather, I need to speak positively about you and to help your self-esteem, to help your value system. But it may not be because I believe in you. I'm looking at the troubling aspect of is that is that genuine affirmation? Is that gaslighting, if I'm to use that expression within this sacred context? I don't even
Very,
want
very
to.
interesting. Well, you're going down a different road there, but I hear you.
No. I just want to be sure that
Uh,
how to place it because I don't want
no,
to call it gaslighting. I don't want to say what it. I just want to be sure the altruistic part, as Dr. Ekong said, the altruistic part of it is present. It's always present. So I'm asking those questions.
yeah, I want to see it as I want to probably stick within the context of a relationship with a partner, and I think some of you guys say that, it have to be is love driven. Affirmation is love driven, but affirmation also looks when there is disconnection with self, disconnection within the relationship, disconnection in intimacy, whatever format you want to see, there's a disconnect in the relationship. Affirmation is like this bridge, it's like this bridge that you're building to achieve a goal, right? So it could have some self centeredness about it when coming to relationship, but it also at the end of the day, because I love you, because it's just not about me, it's not about you, it's about us in the relationship. And because I want us to be better, I want us to experience the fullness of what this love is about. Therefore, I'm building this bridge. I'm looking at the positive things about the relationship and highlighting it and verbalizing it and acting, doing acts so that you can feel, you can see, you can even touch what affirmation looks like. So it's not just 100% pure, if I can use that in a sense. If it is driven by the love that we're trying to develop, we talked about earlier on, then it's easy. So that I'm not doing it for Michael benefit. I'm doing it for the us, which should benefit me too, but us, the us factor in the relationship is benefiting. So with that context, some people could manipulate it, and that's because we are humans. I don't want to be all idealistic in our conversation. Some people can manipulate the whole aspect of affirmation to their benefit. That's a reality. I know, but I think where we want to go, or where we're talking about really, and focuses on the one that is driven by love. Not self-centered, but people-centered or relationship kind of centered to that effect.
Yeah. And I think also with the gaslighting portion, something that is very core to the definition of affirmation, again, is something like an assertion of something that is true. So you're not going to say something to someone as an affirmation that you don't believe or that you think is untrue. That, is you're just talking. You're just, saying things at that point.
Just words. It's just words. You're right.
Yeah, it's not going to be an affirmation. So, again, if whether you're affirming yourself or you're affirming someone else, this is something also that you have to believe. If you're affirming someone else, that is true. Again, whether they believe it or not, that's a different story. But or at least at that time, but something that you believe to be true. So yeah, you want to stay with truth and not go into lie, because we can also, if you think about it in the terms of like narcissistic qualities, if you're affirming yourself, you're building yourself up in that way with things that are untrue, again, that you can see where that would be problematic. So you're thinking things and traits inherent to someone, like their worth as being human, as being a child of God, or their capabilities and being able to accomplish things that they set their mind to. These are all things that everyone has. But if you're, delving into things like I'm superior to everyone else, like I am better than everyone else, as an affirmation, ooh, you've moved away from affirmation. It's like just self-praise, it's self, exaltation, etc. So, again, that can be like, I guess, a tricky side of affirmation. It also has to be something that's relevant to that person. So you're not gonna just say or maybe affirm something that has no relevance to them, has no meaning to them, is not building them up in any way, that they can't identify with, that they refuse to believe for whatever reason. So there's like certain stipulations that you kind of have to like check off in order for something to be an affirmation.
Excellent. I wanted to bring that in there because a lot of times we hear people use the word affirm. I want to affirm you. I want to affirm you. And there may not be genuineness And genuineness is a fundamental principle attached to affirmation. Whether I benefit from what it is that will benefit you, it should not be the motivation for me to affirm. Uh, Affirmation has to stand on its own because I like the word, I'm going back to it, altruistic. It is selfless, it is true, it's genuine. And Mike, it breaks down walls, it opens spaces for so much more to happen. Excellent. Viewers, I told you my guests are excellent people. I knew that I was inviting the right individuals, and here we are on the money, discussing the relationship between affirmation and forgiveness. So, how often should we affirm? How often should we affirm, and who should we affirm? What should motivate us to affirm how often we affirm? Let's get into that aspect of affirming.
I think that we should affirm often and intentionally. So there should be a level of intentionality to it, and often, and we should not make it disingenuous. That was what you were trying to get us to move away from. Make it true. And I was thinking as my other speakers were talking that sometimes affirmation can come without words.
Mm.
For instance, if your spouse comes home, if you're the husband and there is a cooked meal waiting for her, that's another way to affirm her without saying words. We can, so how often? I think often reading the tea leaves. Sometimes the people in our circle, sometimes they don't say things. And if we are loving them the way we should love them, we can catch certain things and we should act towards those things. Those, I call them God moments, things where the Spirit tells you something and you act on them, to speak. And I know you were saying you want to move away from that religious aspect, but there are certain things that you catch in everyday with people and you just act on them.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please.
I always tell my patients very often, the main reason in which I typically, I guess, promote or talk about affirmations is typically in the context of negative thought cycles. So these negative beliefs that people have about themselves, about the world, about other people, are essentially controlling or ruining their life in some significant way. And these are, beliefs or thoughts that have been given to them that they've kind of developed over time, often going all the way back to childhood. And so if you think about how much time that is and how many thoughts you've had since then, how many beliefs you've developed since then, that's a really long time. And so in order for affirmations to kind of really do their work or you to see the benefits of them, it needs to be something that's done very, very, very often, like every day, multiple times a day, if possible. And like that's not an expectation that's necessarily given at the beginning because it's a lot. But again, just driving that idea home that these are thoughts and beliefs that you've developed over time. And so it's going to, again, take that repetition and time to shift, those thought patterns that you have. And since our minds already kind of turn toward being more negative a lot of the time, again, we just have to think and speak those positive phrases and positive thoughts to ourselves, to other people, a lot more than those negative thoughts and beliefs that we have in order to kind of see that shift happen.
Now, I just want to highlight this point here. It is very, very important that we understand affirmation can help us get rid of negative thoughts. I just wanted to highlight that. I think you said it very well. The pattern of negative thinking over time can undermine even the receiving of affirmation. So this is powerful. This is powerful. I think I can make a bumper sticker out of this. Negative thinking over time can undermine the receiving of that. It's too long for a bumper sticker, right? Okay, but I need to find a way to find a way of I need to find a way of shortening it. But it is very powerful. Quite seriously, it is very powerful to note we can be so negative over time because of life experiences that even when someone may genuinely affirm us, we may believe that that is not true. There's no way it can be true. So yeah, powerful, right?
It takes time because you're asking how often and who.
Yeah.
You know, and based on what Alexia is saying, that on a daily, even with us, on a daily, we face challenges, we face stresses of life, and that to affirm, it really give you that thing of strengthen that bond of love, that bond of respect, that bond of security, of relationship. So it's if you look at it that way of why am I affirming? Why there's a need? You know, it's not necessarily because something is connected, but just because of we living in a sinful world, that reminder, that daily reminder that yes, I am loved. Yes, I am deserving of a secure space. Who I am, my dignity and my who, everything about myself, I remind myself of who I am and stand in that and walk in that. Those things for a lot of people need reminders on a daily. You know, for the person who is broken, who go through probably childhood issues, you know, it looks different because that voice, what you're doing in affirmation, you're returning a voice that they have lost, you know, and that is what's going to motivate healing. That voice is going to motivate self-agency. That voice is what's going to bring that person into that space to take back their life and walk into that. So affirmation for who and what and when, I think it looks differently for every person. However, the importance of it and the intentionality, because I love that part, I love that word somebody said earlier on, the intentionality of it is what matters. It's to build and continue to build those bridges and those broken stuff that we experience on a daily.
I really do like the focus on, and you use one word, self-agency. I really like that word in there because not many persons believe they have the capacity to expand their self-agency or their personal agency, the capacity to be more. And affirmation can really help open the door to that sort of building or provide the motivation for that sort of building. I like that. I like that. I like that. Wow. So how often should we should affirm? It's like every day.
Definitely.
And when you find, well, should you affirm negative people though? Should you affirm persons who are okay? You find we know person. I'm just being very practical here. We know persons who are downright negative, and you want to affirm them. You want to say something positive to them and help them move away from negativity. But negativity seems to be so deeply rooted in the system. How can we use affirmation to help uproot that sort of that thing which is ingrained in them?
Ooh, it almost makes me think of like the nature versus nurture question.
Well, well,
Like are people born bad or but yeah, like negative or people who you see as, negative aren't they weren't born that way. Like these are beliefs and things that they have stepped into that again because of, life experiences, things that have happened, things that have been said, whatever the case may be have now developed into this way that they present themselves to the world. So I think that affirming the positive things that you see or even just affirming their ability to do things that are positive, to say things that are positive, can often go a long way. And again, for them, it might be more unconscious because just maybe with the way that they're presenting themselves or what they're choosing to ingest or say or do, they might not be accepting of that affirmation. But I think over time, and especially if the way that you act aligns with the affirmation that you're saying, like for instance, if you um, wanted to affirm their capability of serving in some way, of doing some good, and giving that person opportunities to do that. I think that action, along with that affirmation, can really, really be powerful for that person in realizing that there's other ways to see the world, like there's other ways to present yourself, like there's other ways to think about certain things, there's other ways to do certain things. And then having that opportunity, so someone that believes in them and then putting the action behind the words can be super powerful. So I think no matter how someone is, how they present, what you think of them, I think everyone deserves to be affirmed.
even
I
stranger.
want to agree that, yeah, I want to agree that I think for a lot of people, especially clinicians, it's a lot of clinical work when you meet somebody who is really, really negative. Life, the perspective of life, this perspective of any and even God is negative. And it takes a lot of clinical work to change the lens because really the lens is distorted and you have to do a lot of work to get them to change those lenses. And like any other spectacle, there are things that holding up those lenses, you know. And when you get down to the beneath the to understand what is holding up your lens, why those thoughts are there, where it came from, you know, because we know as Alexa said, we were not born that way, you know. We grew up when the circumstances and whatever that we develop this belief system, and those belief systems is what have you in that cycle, that negative cycle. So it is change your lens, it change your life. And that's the kind of thing I work with clients. Change your lens to change your life. And when we
Bumper
do
sticker
that,
right here.
you will
That was it. That was it.
You made it very succinct for us. Change your
say one
lens.
that's short
Change
one.
your
Yeah. You know, when we do that, you will see gradually, because it takes work. You know, it takes work for the person to believe that I can change that. I can see something differently, because they live in a space where everything they touch is destroyed. Everything any relationship they were in become heartbreak. So now you're going slowly, baby steps for it to believe. And your job now as a clinician or a family member, whoever, is just a showing up into therapy. Wow, I celebrate that. You know, I big them up for that, because it takes a lot. It takes a lot for their sex to show up for themselves. And that's the entire session right there. We just talk about that. Look what you did today. You show up today and you want time. Let's celebrate that. You know, and those little things, we're not going down in their childhood trauma yet. We're dealing with the little baby steps. And like, it doesn't matter how old you are, every human being have a breaking point. And it's our job as clinicians to find it and break it and put it back together the way that it's supposed to be.
lively, rich discussion. I this channel is a spiritually conscious channel, not with the overtones of any particular denomination. So when we speak of spirituality, we don't denominationalize it. But the transformative, the theme of transformation kept coming through as each of you presented. I tried to I took my mind away from it. I said, no, I'm not going to mention that word. But Mike keeps bringing it back up. Then uh, some keep bringing up the selflessness of affirmation, the altruistic part of it, and so the word keeps coming back. So in the next 5 minutes, we're getting ready to close. I want us to be able to apply a spiritual principle to affirmation, a principle that anyone can use, a principle that can help us relocate from the locations where we have failed, from the locations where we felt bad about ourselves, we felt diminished, capacity shut down, to places where we can not just succeed, but where we can thrive. Provide a spiritual principle.
Mm.
I know I put you on, place everyone on the spot, but just succinctly, what in affirmation speaks of anything spiritual?
I will answer something you started out with, which is affirmation and forgiveness. They both operate in the domain of grace,
Mm.
right? So forgiveness releases someone from the debt of wrongdoing or the wrong done, while affirmation reinstates their worth and identity despite the wrong.
Wow.
So Peter, Christ forgave him, but then he affirmed them, feed my sheep. So on the one hand, he cleared the debris of what he had done and then gave him purpose by the reaffirmation.
Thank you, Doc.
I love that.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I want to say it in a little different way because I love that, Sam. Forgiveness. I know how spiritual this will be because I'm not a spiritual thing, but forgiveness heals the past,
Mhm.
right? Forgiveness heals the past. What you have done yesterday, yesterday could be just 5 minutes ago, it heals that. Forgiveness heals the past. Affirmation strengthens the present
Mm.
and the future.
Mm.
Mm.
Bumper sticker moment.
Right.
Bumper sticker one.
I'm writing it down, Mike. I'm writing it down. I'm gonna put it
Yeah.
with your
That's
name
exactly
today.
that's exactly what Sam said just so there.
Uh, I also think when it comes to like affirmations, like another way to think of it, if you were to think of it in like the spiritual sense, it's faith, or I guess a type of faith. It's not something that we see. It's not something that we necessarily have evidence for or can find that evidence for. But it is something that we are choosing to believe, again, because it is something that is a truth, a universal truth. And so kind of thinking of it that way, and for anyone, I guess, that has maybe more Christian leanings, and kind of thinking about all the effort and the wrestling that is kind of put into having or developing a strong faith, and kind of what that means within the context of your spiritual beliefs or faith beliefs. I think affirmation, whether it's a spiritual affirmation or just more general affirmation, fits in there really well. And that's also kind of what makes it difficult, because it's not something that we are claiming right now. It's not something that we maybe believe 100% or believe at all at that moment. Like, it's something that we have to work toward, I guess, believing. Like, it's something that we're putting effort into, which can make it difficult, but also it's really amazing and even the more powerful when we do get to that point where we're like, okay, this is what I believe. I'm claiming that, like, I'm sticking with that. That is now affecting my life, like the way I do things, the way I show up for other people in other relationships, the way I put effort in to improve self. All of these different areas and aspects are then influenced by that. Same as with, any spiritual or faith belief, as well too. So again, I kind of see that parallel there.
Excellent, excellent. I really appreciate the perspectives, very insightful, learned deep perspectives. Affirmation is I believe in you despite the struggles. I still believe that you can get through it. You can still make it. I believe in your achievements, small steps. I believe in your achievements. In therapy, sometimes we say baby steps. Baby steps can lead to giant steps. We believe in you. I just want to really thank all of you for taking the time to be here with us today. This recording is going to be placed on the YouTube channel again so that persons could listen over and over and over. I am quite sure that I'll be getting some comment and to bring back the guests. I don't know, viewers, you will tell me what to do. I will follow your instruction and direction so that the trajectory of this YouTube channel will be based on your feedback. And I would love for you to provide us some feedback on here. I just want to take the time now to advertise the 40-day series that is coming up come August the 1st. We would be looking at, we will be discussing affirmations that matter. We call it the ATM. Affirmations that matter for 40 days. We'll be looking at that. So today's presentation, today's discussion is just part of the journey that we are taking together. Again, I thank Sam, I thank Mike and Alexa for being here, all professionals, and for you listeners who are here. I see a few of you, but I know many more persons will be viewing it. I thank you for that. And let us together journey from the places where we have failed to the places where we will not just succeed, but where we will thrive. Let's affirm each other every day as much as we can, being genuine and selfless, just because affirming is important. Mike, I'm going to take this one away. Change your lens, change your life. This one is not going to leave me. This one is definitely my bumper sticker. So I don't know how you got it, but it's on me. All right.
It is copyright.
It's copyright. Okay. All right. It's copyright.